An American billionaire CEO falls in love with a black African woman after visiting Nigeria. This is the story of Jacob and Kate, a billionaire who's never known love and a woman who's never needed anyone else's strength. Will they find a way to bridge their worlds, or will the weight of their differences tear them apart? It's a hot afternoon, and Jacob Lewis, the 38-year-old CEO of Lewis's Crunch, America's biggest biscuit company, steps out of his sleek black SUV. His tailored suit clings to him in the humid air, and his sharp blue eyes scan the chaotic market with a mix of curiosity and discomfort. He's here on a business trip, scouting new markets for his company's expansion. But Jacob isn't just a man of wealth. He's a man of control, someone who spent years building walls around his heart after a childhood of loss and betrayal. His parents' messy divorce left him cynical about love, and his success has only made him more guarded. To Jacob, emotions are a liability, and trust is a luxury he can't afford. Across the market, Kate Ben weaves through the crowd, her head held high despite the weight of the basket balanced on it. At 27, Kate is a force of nature, proud, resilient, and fiercely independent. Her dark eyes sparkle with determination as she sells her handmade jewelry to tourists and locals alike. She grew up in a small village outside Lagos, where every day was a struggle to make ends meet. Her father died when she was young, and her mother raised her and her siblings on little more than grit and love. Kate's learned to rely on herself, and she's not afraid to stand up to anyone, no matter how powerful they seem. But beneath her strength lies a quiet dream, a hope for a life where she can be more than just a survivor. The moment that changes everything comes without warning. Jacob, distracted by a call from his assistant, doesn't see Kate until it's too late. He bumps into her, and her basket tumbles to the ground, beads and trinkets scattering across the dusty pavement. The crowd around them pauses, eyes darting to the scene. Jacob freezes, his phone still pressed to his ear, as Kate drops to her knees, scrambling to gather her things. "Hey, watch where you're going." Kate's voice is sharp, cutting through the noise of the market. She doesn't look up, her hands moving quickly to save her livelihood. Jacob lowers his phone, his jaw tightening. He's not used to being spoken to like that. "I'm sorry," he says, his tone clipped, more out of reflex than sincerity. He crouches to help, but his movements are stiff, awkward. He's out of place here, and he knows it. Kate finally looks up, her eyes locking onto his. For a split second, the world seems to stop. Her gaze is fierce, unyielding, but there's something else there, pain, maybe, or defiance. Jacob feels a jolt, like he's been seen for the first time in years. But Kate doesn't care who he is. To her, he's just another careless stranger. "You think saying sorry fixes this?" she snaps, holding up a broken necklace. "This is my work, my life. You people come here, throw your money around, and don't even look where you're stepping." Jacob's brows furrow. He's not used to being challenged, especially not by someone like her, someone who, in his world, wouldn't even register. "I said I'm sorry," he repeats, his voice colder now. "Tell me how much and I'll cover it." Kate stands, brushing dirt off her hands. She's shorter than him, but her presence feels bigger. "You think money solves everything?" "Typical." She shakes her head, her lips curling in disgust. "Keep your money. I don't need it." The crowd murmurs, some people whispering, others openly staring. Jacob feels the weight of their eyes, the heat of the moment. He's used to being in control, but here, in this market. He's just a man who's made a mistake, and Kate isn't letting him off easy. I'm not trying to insult you, Jacob says, his voice softer now, though there's still an edge to it. He's not sure why he's bothering to explain himself. I just want to make this right. Kate studies him for a moment, her expression unreadable. Then she kneels again, gathering the last of her things. If you want to make it right, start by seeing people, not just problems to fix, she says, her voice low but firm. She stands, hoists her basket onto her head, and walks away without looking back. Jacob watches her go, his phone forgotten in his hand. He's met presidents, closed deals worth millions, but he's never felt so unsettled by a single encounter. There's something about Kate, her fire, her fearlessness, that sticks with him. He doesn't know her name, doesn't know her story, but he can't shake the feeling that he's just crossed paths with someone who could unravel everything he's built. Back at his hotel that evening, Jacob sits in his suite, the city lights of Lagos sprawling outside his window. He's supposed to be reviewing market reports, but his mind keeps drifting to the woman in the market. Her words echo in his head. Start by seeing people, not just problems to fix. He spent his life solving problems, business deals, supply chain issues, corporate takeovers. But people? People are messy, unpredictable. He's kept them at arm's length for a reason. Yet, for the first time in years, Jacob feels something stirring inside him. It's not love, not yet. It's curiosity, maybe, or a challenge. Who is this woman who looked at him like he was just another man, not a billionaire, not a CEO? And why does he care so much about what she thinks? Meanwhile, Kate sits on the floor of her small room in a crowded Lagos neighborhood. Her siblings are asleep, and her mother's soft snores fill the air. She's repairing the broken necklace from earlier, her fingers steady despite the frustration still burning in her chest. That man, Jacob, though she doesn't know his name, represented everything she's come to resent. Wealth, arrogance, the kind of person who thinks a few dollars can erase any mistake. But there was something in his eyes, a flicker of something real, that made her pause. She pushes the thought away. Men like him don't belong in her world. As the night deepens, both Jacob and Kate are left with questions they can't answer. For Jacob, it's about why this moment, this woman, has shaken him so deeply. For Kate, it's about whether she can ever trust someone from a world so different from hers. Their paths have crossed, and though they don't know it yet, this is only the beginning. Jacob Lewis sits in his hotel suite, the Lagos skyline glittering through the floor-to-ceiling windows. It's been 2 days since the incident in the market, but he can't stop thinking about the woman with the fiery eyes and the basket of jewelry. He doesn't know her name, but her words keep echoing in his mind. Start by seeing people, not just problems to fix. He's used to brushing off criticism, but this feels different. It's like she saw through his polished exterior, straight to the parts of himself he spent years hiding. Jacob is a man who controls everything. His company, his schedule, his emotions. But now, for the first time in a long time, he feels something slipping out of his grasp. At 38, Jacob has built Lewis's Crunch into a household name in America. His biscuits line the shelves of every supermarket, and his face has been on the cover of business magazines. He's wealthy beyond most people's dreams, with a penthouse in New York, a private jet, and a life most would envy. But it's a lonely life. His parents' bitter divorce when he was a teenager left him wary of relationships. His father cheated, his mother left, and Jacob learned early that love is just a word people throw around to justify pain. He's had flings, sure, but nothing serious. Women in his world want his money or his status, and he's never met anyone who made him want to risk more. Now, in Lagos, he's here to expand his empire. Nigeria's growing economy is a goldmine for his company, and he's determined to make Lewis's crunch a staple here too. But the market incident has thrown him off. He's supposed to be focused on meetings with local distributors, not chasing after a stranger who called him out. Yet, as he sips his coffee, staring at the city below, he knows he wants to find her. Not to apologize again, he's done that, but to understand why she's gotten under his skin. Meanwhile, across the city, Kate Ben is in her family's small, crowded home. The walls are cracked, the roof leaks when it rains, but it's home. She's sitting at a wobbly table, stringing beads into a new necklace. Her younger brother, Henry, is sprawled on a mat nearby, reading a tattered textbook. Her mother, Mama Gozi, is cooking yam porridge, the smell filling the room. Kate's life is simple but full of love. She's the breadwinner, selling her jewelry in the market to pay for Henry's school fees and her mother's medicine. Every naira counts, and the broken necklace from 2 days ago was a loss she can't afford. At 27, Kate is the heart of her family. She's tough because she has to be. After her father died in a factory accident when she was 10, she watched her mother work herself to the bone to keep them afloat. Kate learned to be strong, to speak her mind, and to never let anyone make her feel small. She's proud of her work, her heritage, and her ability to stand on her own. But she's also tired. Tired of scraping by, tired of worrying about the next bill, tired of carrying the weight of her family's dreams. She wants more, not just money, but a life where she can breathe, create, and maybe even find love. But love feels like a luxury she can't afford, especially not with a man like the one from the market. She hasn't forgotten him either. The tall American in the fancy suit, with his cold voice and his offer of money like it could fix everything. She's met men like him before. Tourists, businessmen, people who think Nigeria is just a place to make a profit. But there was something about him, a flicker in his eyes when she snapped at him, that made her wonder. Was it guilt? Or something deeper? She shakes her head, focusing on her beads. Men like him don't belong in her world, and she's got enough to worry about without chasing thoughts of a stranger. Their worlds are as different as night and day. Jacob's life is one of boardrooms, private jets, and decisions that affect thousands of jobs. He's surrounded by people who say yes to his every word, and he's learned to keep his emotions locked away. Kate's life is one of survival, of family, of finding joy in small moments despite the hardships. She's surrounded by love but also by struggle, and she's learned to fight for every bit of respect she gets. They're from opposite ends of the earth, separated by wealth, culture, and experience. Yet, fate has a way of pulling people together even when they don't expect it. Jacob's days in Lagos are filled with meetings, but he can't focus. He keeps thinking about the market, about the woman who didn't back down. On a whim, he decides to go back. He tells himself it's to see the market again, to understand the local consumers better. But deep down, he knows he's hoping to see her. He walks through the crowded stalls, his suit replaced with a lighter shirt, though he still stands out. The vendors call out to him, offering fruits, fabrics, and trinkets. He ignores them, scanning the crowd until he spots her. Kate is at her stall, arranging her jewelry on a colorful cloth. She's laughing with a customer, her smile bright and genuine. Jacob stops, watching her from a distance. There's something about her, a warmth, a strength, that draws him in. He's not sure what he's doing here, but he steps forward anyway. "Excuse me," he says, his voice softer than it was 2 days ago. Kate looks up and her smile fades. She recognizes him instantly. "You again," she says, crossing her arms. "What do you want now?" Jacob hesitates. He's not used to being at a loss for words. "I wanted to see if you were okay. After the other day." Kate raises an eyebrow, her expression skeptical. "I'm fine. I've been fine my whole life without people like you checking on me." Her words sting, but Jacob doesn't walk away. "I didn't mean to upset you," he says. I don't know. I felt like I needed to come back." Kate studies him, her eyes narrowing. She's not sure what to make of this man who seems so out of place in her world. "Why?" she asks, her voice sharp. "You feel guilty? Or is this some kind of game for you?" "It's not a game," Jacob says, and for the first time, there's a crack in his polished demeanor. "I don't know why I'm here, okay? I just couldn't stop thinking about what you said." Kate's expression softens, but only slightly. She's not ready to trust him. "You don't know me," she says. "And I don't know you. So let's keep it that way." She turns back to her jewelry, dismissing him. But Jacob doesn't move. He stands there, watching her work, and for the first time in years, he feels something he can't name. A pull, a need to know more about this woman who's already challenged everything he thought he knew about himself. Kate feels his presence, even as she tries to ignore him. She's used to handling herself, to brushing off unwanted attention. But there's something about this man that unsettles her. He's not like the others who've come through the market, throwing money around and leaving without a second thought. He's standing there, waiting, like he's actually listening. And that scares her more than she wants to admit. Their worlds are miles apart, but this moment in the market is the first thread connecting them. Jacob is a man who's never had to fight for anyone's approval, and Kate is a woman who's never needed anyone's help. They're opposites in every way, but there's a spark between them, faint but undeniable. As Jacob finally walks away, promising himself he'll come back, and as Kate glances at his retreating figure, neither of them knows that this is the start of something bigger, something that will test their hearts, their beliefs, and everything they thought they wanted. Jacob Lewis is not a man who chases anyone. In his world, people come to him, investors, employees, women. But here he is, back in the Lagos market for the third time in a week, standing a few stalls away from Kate Ben's display of handmade jewelry. He tells himself he's here for business, to get a feel for the local economy, but the truth is simpler and more unsettling. He can't stay away from her. There's something about Kate, her fire, her refusal to bend, that pulls at him like nothing else ever has. He's not sure what he wants from her, but he knows he needs to find out. Kate, meanwhile, is arranging her necklaces and bracelets with practiced care. The market is alive with its usual chaos. Vendors shouting, customers haggling, the air thick with the smell of grilled corn and sweat. She's focused, but her mind keeps drifting to the American who keeps showing up. She's seen him twice now since their first encounter, lingering nearby, watching her. It irritates her, the way he stands out in his expensive clothes, drawing eyes like he owns the place. Men like him, with their money and their confidence, think they can have anything they want. Kate spent her life proving she's not for sale, and she's not about to let this one change that. Today, Jacob gathers his courage and approaches her stall. He swapped his suit for a linen shirt, but he still looks out of place, his posture too stiff for the easy rhythm of the market. Kate spots him before he speaks, her eyes narrowing as she straightens. "You're back," she says, her tone flat but edged with suspicion. "What is it this time? Another apology?" Jacob offers a small smile, trying to disarm her. "No apologies today. I just wanted to see your work." He gestures at the jewelry spread out on the cloth. "It's impressive." Kate crosses her arms, unimpressed. "You don't strike me as the jewelry type. So what do you really want?" Her directness throws him off, but he recovers quickly. "Maybe I'm just curious," he says. "You don't seem like everyone else around here." Kate's laugh is sharp, almost bitter. "Everyone else? You mean the people you step over without noticing? Don't act like you care about my life." Jacob's jaw tightens. He's not used to being called out so bluntly, and it stings more than he expects. "I'm not trying to insult you," he says, his voice low. "I just want to know you." "Why?" Kate shoots back, her eyes locked on his. "What's a man like you want with a market girl like me? You think this is some kind of adventure?" Her words hit hard, and for a moment, Jacob doesn't know how to respond. He's used to negotiations, to finding the right angle to get what he wants. But Kate isn't a deal to be closed. She's a person, and she's making it clear she sees right through him. Before he can answer, a customer interrupts, asking about a bracelet. Kate turns away, her focus shifting instantly to the sale. Jacob watches her, noticing the way she smiles at the customer, her voice warm and engaging. She's good at this, connecting with people, making them feel seen. It's a skill he's never had, not really. In his world, connections are transactions, not moments of genuine warmth. When the customer leaves, Kate turns back to him, her expression guarded. "You're still here," she says, almost like it's a challenge. "I am," Jacob replies, meeting her gaze. "And I'm not going anywhere until you give me a chance to talk." Kate raises an eyebrow, her lips twitching like she's fighting a smile. "You're stubborn, I'll give you that. But you're wasting your time. I don't have time for games, and I don't trust men who think they can buy their way into my life." "I'm not trying to buy anything," Jacob says, and there's a sincerity in his voice that surprises even him. I don't know how to explain it. You're different. You make me want to be better." Kate stares at him, caught off guard by his honesty. For a moment, she sees something in his eyes, something vulnerable, something real. But then she remembers who he is. A rich man from a world that's never cared about people like her. She shakes her head, hardening her resolve. "Pretty words," she says. "But words don't mean much when you've got everything and I've got nothing." "That's not true," Jacob says, stepping closer. "You've got more than you think. You've got strength, pride, a life you've built with your own hands. I respect that." Kate's eyes soften for a split second, but she catches herself. "Respect doesn't pay my bills," she says. "And it doesn't make us equals. You live in a world I'll never touch, and I live in one you'll never understand. So let's not pretend this is anything more than it is." Her words cut deep, and Jacob feels the weight of their differences. He's never had to think about money the way she does, never had to fight for survival. His wealth, his power has always been a shield, but now it feels like a wall between them. He wants to argue, to tell her she's wrong, but he knows she's not. Not entirely. "I'm not pretending," he says quietly. "I just want a chance to know you. No strings, no expectations. Just a conversation." Kate hesitates. She's used to keeping people at a distance, especially men who seem too good to be true. But there's something about Jacob's persistence, the way he's standing here, willing to take her rejection and still not walk away. It's disarming, and that scares her. "Fine," she says at last, her voice cautious. "One conversation. But don't think it means anything." Jacob nods, a small victory. "Fair enough. Can I at least know your name?" "Kate," she says after a long pause. "Kate Ben." "I'm Jacob Lewis," he replies, and for the first time, he feels like he's not just the CEO of Lewis's Crunch. He's just Jacob, standing in a market, talking to a woman who doesn't care about his money or his title. They talk for a few minutes, their conversation cautious but curious. Jacob asks about her jewelry, and Kate explains how she learned to make it from her mother, how each piece tells a story. He listens, really listens, and it surprises her. She's used to being ignored or underestimated, but Jacob seems genuinely interested. For a moment, the gap between their worlds feels smaller. But the power imbalance is still there, impossible to ignore. When Jacob offers to buy one of her necklaces, Kate's guard goes up again. "I told you I don't need your money," she says, her voice sharp. "This isn't about charity." "I'm not offering charity," Jacob says, frustrated. "I just want to support your work." "You don't get it," Kate replies, her eyes flashing. "Every time you pull out your wallet, it reminds me how different we are. You think you're helping, but it just makes me feel like less." Jacob wants to argue, but he stops himself. He's starting to see how his wealth, his very presence, shifts the dynamic between them. He's used to solving problems with money, but Kate doesn't want his solutions. She wants respect, and that's something he's not sure he knows how to give, not in the way she needs. As the conversation ends, Jacob leaves with a promise to come back. Kate watches him go, her heart conflicted. She doesn't trust him, not yet, but she can't deny the spark she feels when he's around. It's dangerous, and she knows it. Men like Jacob don't stay in her world. They pass through, leaving promises they can't keep. Back at his hotel, Jacob replays their conversation in his mind. He's never met anyone like Kate, someone who challenges him without fear, who makes him question the way he moves through the world. But he also feels the weight of their differences. His wealth, his status, his entire life. They're barriers, not bridges. For the first time, he wonders if he's out of his depth. Kate, too, is wrestling with her thoughts. She spent her life building walls to protect herself, but Jacob's persistence is starting to chip away at them. She doesn't want to let him in, doesn't want to risk her heart on someone who could never understand her world. But there's a part of her, small and quiet, that wonders what it would be like to let him try. The Lagos market is quieter today, the afternoon sun casting long shadows across the stalls. Kate Ben is at her usual spot, her fingers deftly weaving beads into a new necklace. She's focused, but her thoughts keep drifting to Jacob Lewis, the American who's been showing up at her stall for weeks now. Their conversations have been short, cautious, but each one leaves her feeling a little less guarded. She doesn't trust him, not completely, but she's starting to see him as more than just a rich man who stumbled into her world. There's a sincerity in him that surprises her, a willingness to listen that she's not used to from men like him. Jacob, meanwhile, is walking through the market, his steps more confident than they were a month ago. He's learned to navigate the crowded aisles, to nod at the vendors who now recognize him. He's not here for business today, though he still tells himself that's part of it. The truth is, he's here for Kate. Every time he sees her, he feels a little less like the cold, calculated Zoe and more like a man who's starting to care, really care, about someone else. It's unfamiliar, unsettling, but he can't stop himself from coming back. He approaches her stall, and Kate looks up, her expression a mix of wariness and something softer. "You're like a stray dog now," she says, her voice teasing but with an edge. "Keep coming back no matter how many times I shoo you away." Jacob grins, leaning against a nearby post. "Maybe I'm just stubborn. Or maybe you're worth coming back for." Kate rolls her eyes, but there's a hint of a smile on her lips. "Smooth talker. You practice that in front of a mirror." He laughs, and it's a sound she's starting to like, despite herself. They've been doing this dance for weeks. Small talks, quick jabs, moments where they both let their guards down just a little. Today, though, Jacob seems different, less polished, more open. "I was thinking," he says, his tone more serious. "You told me your jewelry tells stories. Can you tell me one? About a piece you've made." Kate hesitates, her fingers pausing over the beads. She's not used to sharing her world with strangers, especially not someone like Jacob. But there's something in his eyes, a genuine curiosity, that makes her want to try. She picks up a bracelet, its beads a mix of deep blue and gold. "This one," she says, holding it up, "is for my father. He died when I was young, but he loved the ocean. He'd tell me stories about fishermen and mermaids, how the water holds secrets we'll never know. The blue is for the sea, the gold for the sun setting over it. I made it to remember him." Jacob listens, his eyes fixed on her. For once, he doesn't try to fill the silence with a quick reply. "That's beautiful," he says finally. "I'm sorry about your father." Kate shrugs, but her voice softens. "It was a long time ago. But thank you." There's a moment of quiet between them, the market's noise fading into the background. For the first time, Kate feels like she's not just talking to a stranger. She's sharing something real, and Jacob is receiving it with a care she didn't expect. Over the next few weeks, their conversations grow longer, deeper. Jacob starts showing up earlier, staying until the market slows down. He asks about her life, her family, her dreams, the village she grew up in. Kate is guarded at first, but his persistence wears her down. She tells him about her mother's strength, her brother's love for books, the way she used to dream of being an artist before life forced her to focus on survival. In return, Jacob opens up, slowly, about his own world. He talks about his childhood, the divorce that broke his family, the way he threw himself into work to avoid the pain. One evening, as the market empties out, Jacob stays late to help Kate pack up her stall. The sun is setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. They're sitting on a low bench, the air cooler now, and Kate finds herself laughing at one of Jacob's stories about a failed business deal that ended with him covered in flour. "Covered in flour?" she says, her eyes bright with amusement. "I can't picture it." "It was a disaster," Jacob admits, chuckling. "I thought I could impress these investors by touring the factory. Turns out, I'm not cut out for the production line." Kate shakes her head, still smiling. "You're not as perfect as you look, are you?" Jacob's smile fades slightly, and he looks at her, his voice quieter. "I'm far from perfect, Kate. I've spent my life trying to control everything, but being here with you makes me realize how much I've been missing." Kate's breath catches. His words are raw, unguarded, and they hit her harder than she expects. She's spent so long keeping her walls up, but Jacob's honesty is starting to crack them. She looks away, her fingers fidgeting with a bead in her hand. "Don't say things like that," she says softly. "You don't know what you're starting." "I know exactly what I'm starting," Jacob replies, his voice steady. "And I'm not afraid of it. Are you?" Kate meets his eyes, and for a moment, the world narrows to just the two of them. She's scared, yes, scared of what it means to let someone like him into her life, scared of the gap between their worlds. But she's also tired of running from her own heart. "I don't know," she admits, her voice barely above a whisper. "But I'm not someone who fits into your world, Jacob. And you don't fit into mine. Maybe we don't have to fit," he says. "Maybe we just make something new." The words hang between them, heavy with possibility. Kate doesn't respond, but she doesn't pull away either. They sit in silence, watching the last of the sunset, and for the first time, they both feel a connection that's stronger than their differences. Watch out for part 2 and thank you for watching.